Good morning, everybody, and welcome as we continue our walk with Jesus through Holy Week. I'd like to continue from yesterday, where Jesus, on his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, in Mark's Gospel, we are told that before Jesus did anything, he went to the temple, had a look around, and because it was late, with the apostles, he left the city for the night, returning back to Bethany. So when you think Jesus would have had time to reflect on what he saw in the temple, what he had seen, and what he had seen would probably have shocked him, because basically it was the commercialization of the sanctuary of God. This was the very centre of the religious life of Israel. And perhaps this was one of the many reasons why Jesus wept the day before. So the next day, Monday, Jesus returned to the temple. And I want to pick up in Mark's Gospel again. It's chapter 11, and I'm going to read verses 15 to 18. And this is what Mark records about that particular incident. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of money changers and the benches of those selling doves. I would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations,' but you have made it a den of robbers." The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began looking for a way to kill him, for they feared him, because the whole crowd were amazed at his teaching. So here we are looking at the business of the money changers and the traders who are selling doves, cattle, sheep for sacrifices as part of the temple tax. And it had become a lucrative business and made it into a monopoly. It was controlled by the high priests. And when you think about it, it led to the exploitation of all the pilgrims, wealthy and poor pilgrims, that came to the temple to seek forgiveness from God, which in them days was done by animal sacrifice. What Jesus said when he talked about a house of prayer and den of robbers, he was quoting from the two great prophets, Isaiah and Jeremiah. It's Isaiah 56:7 and Jeremiah 7:11 for those that wish to check on that and read around the context of that. But I just want to move on now, because the portrait the gospel writers are now starting to paint of Jesus as we progress through Holy Week is now giving this additional perspective. For as we heard yesterday, Palm Sunday, Jesus rode into Jerusalem with humility, and he wept over the city at its spiritual blindness, if that's the phrase we want to use. And now on Monday, in this particular story, John, in his Gospel, says that Jesus actually brandished a whip. And a whip in the Bible, in that context, is a symbol of judgment. And it makes us wonder as to why Jesus went from crying to using a whip in terms of his reaction to the people in Jerusalem. So the tone is changing. The people are still amazed at Jesus' teaching. But as we've heard, the high priests and the elders are now already thinking of ways to kill him. And what we can reflect on is it because they thought him a blasphemer with the things he was saying? Or are they merely just considering that their financial exploitation of the pilgrims with all the money that they were making will be coming to an end if Jesus got his way? I mean, we know it did come to an end in AD 70, but I'll leave that thought with you. So in these first 2 days of Holy Week, Sunday and Monday, Jesus has been seeing this spiritual blindness of the people in Jerusalem. And it's a case of, his spiritual blindness still with us in the present day? Is it still with us? How does the world and individuals measure success? Is it greater status? Is it bigger houses? Is it fatter bank accounts? But when we think about it, does this give us true happiness? If we remain spiritually blind to God, this blindness that Jesus was witnessing on Palm Sunday and Monday. Because it was really upsetting Jesus. He wept, and then he showed righteous anger. And as we see, as we move further into Holy Week, the hostility to Jesus increases. They were moving even further away from him when they should have been getting closer to him. So today, let us reflect on ways we can get even closer to Jesus in our everyday lives. In terms of our status, and not like the status of the high priests and the status they were trying to protect with the commercialization of what was happening in the temple in Jerusalem. So I would like to close with the words from St. Paul in his letter to Galatians, it's 6:14, about his status, about his spirituality, about his understanding of the cross. And it says, "May I never boast except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, through which the world has been crucified to me, and I to the world." So God bless. Please keep safe, and I will see you tomorrow.